Hello guys, I've been tagged by Iz Turley to talk about my two favorite woods knives. I actually have two categories of knives that I use in the woods. One would be, the first category is what I need to talk about for the thread on Bushcraft USA. And that would be the knives that I take when I go on camping trips and different outings with the guys when we go out for like our annual winter trip and some of the other trips that we do where we practice our skills in the woods. The other category is what I use knives more for than actual camping, would be hunting. I spend more days in the field hunting than I do anything else. Before I got into knife making, I probably spent from September through the end of January an average of 5 days a week in the field whenever I got the opportunity, mainly chasing whitetails. That's my favorite outdoor pursuit, is hunting whitetail deer. So first I'll talk about the knives that I've used over the years and go down to my two favorite, and actually I'll end up doing my one favorite out of all of them. One that I use quite a bit that's not one of my knives. Of course, this is going to be mainly my knives that I'm going to be talking about because that's what I use more than anything now. But the one knife that I used a lot is the original Ontario Artac. And this knife is great. I mean, I've done everything with it. Cleared brush. I've also carried this when I hunted for clearing brush, shooting lanes, and things like that. I've split wood with it, built shelters. I've used it for just about everything. I use it a lot in the around the house. I prefer this over a machete. It's a little shorter, but it's more stout than what a machete is. And this one has seen a lot of woods time. I just cleaned it up. It's been sitting in the shop for a while because I haven't used it for quite a bit. So, but this is a great knife. The original Ontario Artac. I redid the edge, convexed it, and reshaped the handles. The handles were a bit broad for my hand, so I redid the micarta scales on it, and it fits my hand a lot better now. But this knife has seen a heck of a lot of use. The other one would be the 8-inch Tusker. Now this is the original one that I made, the very first one. This knife has seen a lot of woods time. I chopped down two 25-foot trees with it. I've split firewood. I've made one-stick fires. I've built shelters with it. I mean, anything you can name, I've done with it when I've had it out. And I don't really get into the bow drills and making traps and the other bushcraft activities. I don't really get too much involved in that. I just mainly use it for firewood prep, building fires, and like I say, building shelters. But this knife, I made this knife in late 2005, so it's got about 6 years of use out of it. 01 steel, and it's still going strong. As a matter of fact, I'm going to get back into using this knife because I've made so many different new models that I've been testing out that I kind of put this one to the side and I haven't used it too much, but I want to get reacquainted with it when I get back out again. The other one that I've used quite a bit is my version of the tracker knife, which I call the WST, Wilderness Survival Tool. This is the small version of the I make a large one. This is a smaller version. It has a 4.5-inch blade. I've done a lot with this knife too. Same things: firewood prep, shelter, tent stakes, any kind of activity like that you would do while you're out camping. And another one that I've used not quite as much as the Tusker is this large knife we call a MOT. my friend Mike, he called it the Mother Tusker, so I really haven't come out with a name for it yet, but it's got a 10-inch blade. It's done a heck of a lot of work too. Not quite as much as a Tusker, but I have used this quite a bit in the woods. The new design that was on Blade Forums in the Bushcraft Challenge competition is the Deer Creek knife. This one I've used some, and I want to get out with it more, but it's only not even a year old yet, so I really haven't had a lot of time to put a lot of time into this knife, which I do plan on doing as soon as I can get out again. So those are some of the knives that I like to use as my woods knife. Now, to pick two favorites, that's tough to do. I would say if I had to pick two favorites, it would probably be the Deer Creek knife and the original Tusker. If it came down to one, it would be the Tusker. This would be the only knife I would carry. I can do everything I need to do in the woods with this knife that I do. Some other people may not. They may prefer a smaller knife, but I've always liked large knives, and I'm used them quite a bit, so I'm pretty experienced with a large knife. Now, the other category would be the hunting knives. I've used so many knives. I've hunted white-tailed deer for over 30 years. I've used so many knives. I can't even remember all the knives I've used over the years. And last year, I used the UNK model, which has come down to be my favorite design. The UNK is a modified sheep's foot blade. This one is a little bit wider than the standard, but it's a 3-inch blade. This is absolutely my favorite knife for game prep, for skinning, for gutting, even for butchering. This one is S90V, and I haven't had an opportunity to use this one. The one I used last year was S35VN CPM steel. That knife is gone. I sent it to a writer. He's supposed to be doing an article on the UNK, so I don't have that knife. But I used that knife quite a bit last fall. 3 deer I used that knife on. I like to carry a larger knife, and the smaller WST is the one that I carry as my larger knife. This knife splits pelvic bones, breast bones. I've cut the legs off the deer with this. This does all the heavy work that I needed to do. I've even used the Tusker for field dressing deer. It's a little bit large. It's really overkill for that, but if I had one knife to pick out of all of them, the Tusker would be it. I could do just about everything I need to do with that knife. I have enough experience with it. The other knife that I used for a lot of years for hunting was my Randall Model 25-5 Trapper. Now this one, I don't think I would beat on this one too hard. It might be able to handle it, but this one has a very thin grind, hollow grind on it, very thin edge. This is an excellent knife that I use for gutting and skinning and butchering of deer. So this is one of my favorites too. But to pick two favorites for hunting, it would be the UNK and the WST Small Burden. So those are my picks for my outdoor knives and for my hunting knives. The other one that's more utility now than anything is my original PSK knife. This knife I use around the shop for just about everything. It doesn't see much outdoor use, but this knife is about 6 years old and it's seen a lot of use in the field. I just don't carry it as much. I prefer the UNK now for that. So those are my choices. Those are what I like to use. And as far as tagging someone else for this, I'd like to tag Lieutenant Mike Kuhana and Jerry Young, Hayseed, W45. If those guys want to put up their favorites, they can. So that's my choices for the video.